All right, good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, April 28th, 2021, and we will call this meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council Committee of the Whole to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Here. And we have a quorum. First item of business this morning is the MS4 annual meeting. We have Matt Harrington and Brian Ybarro here to discuss that with us. So I'll call on our city engineer, Brian Ybarro. Good morning, Brian.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good morning. Good morning, members. We've got a brief presentation here. We'll try to keep it short. This is in regards to our annual stormwater management program, also known as MS4. Just got a series of slides here. As mentioned, I do have a staff member that's Matt Harrington, who's the manager of this program. But we're here because we're required to be as well by the law and under the purview of this program. So to begin with, I'm going to just turn to your attention to the first slide. If we can here, the Clean Water Act. I think it's important to note the Federal Water Pollution Control Act of 1948 was the first major U.S. law to address water pollution, growing public awareness and concern for controlling the water polluted from sweeping amendments to in 1972. As amended in 1972, the law became commonly known as the Clean Water Act. As noted in 1972, there was a series of amendments. I'm not going to go through there in a lot of detail, but I want to note this because I get a lot of questions and concerns, and I believe it's important to note that this topic before you was not initiated by the city, but this is mandated all the way from the federal government administered to the states and to the local level. Yes, it's considered an unfunded mandate. However, it's funded with our local dollars and not through the federal government or state. Moving on to the next slide. The MPCA, as I mentioned, they administer this Federal Clean Water Act via the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, commonly referred to as the NPDES. A new permit was recently issued on November 16th, 2020, with an expiration date of November 15th, 2025. I believe of last week we did file for a reissuance under this program. The goal of the general permit is to reduce pollution levels and point source discharges and protect water quality in accordance with U.S. Clean Water Act, Minnesota statutes and rules, and federal laws and regulations. Next slide, please. So what is an MS4? We are designated by population as an MS4. Communities over 10,000 in population, and there's a series as tiers move up within the state. But a municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4, is a conveyance system of conveyances, roads, drainage ditches, municipal streets, catch basins, curbs and gutters, ditch, stormwater ponds, everything. That also include owned and operated by public entity, which can include cities such as us, townships, counties, military bases, highway departments, you name it. It's designed for use of collecting and conveying stormwater. It's not a combined sewer. It's not of a publicly owned treatment works. So in short, consider the MS4 is all the storm sewer that's within the city limits. It's a large network that eventually a majority of the drains to the Otter Tail River. So the cities, being that we're the regulating agency at the local level, we have to administer this program to the entire system and what goes into the system and what comes out of the system. So the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Program, part of the execution of this requirement is that we must submit a SWIP, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Document, when seeking coverage under a general permit. The SWIP document becomes an enforceable part of the general permit, and it is approved by the MPCA. Next slide, please. So part of the SWIP, it's in general broken down into 6 sections. We call them MCMs, minimal control measures. There's a series that it's noted right there in MCM1, public education outreach. MCM2, public participation involvement. These are one of the 2 main components why we're here right now. MCM3, illicit discharge detection and elimination. MCM4, construction site stormwater runoff control. That'll be on the next slide what we do. MCM5, post-construction stormwater management, and MCM6, pollution prevention, good housekeeping for municipal operations. Those are internal measures what the city has to abide by ourselves with our system. Next slide, please. As mentioned on MCM number 5 MCM 4, which is construction site storm runoff control. In 2020, this is a list of our activities in regards to this specific MCM. We had 81 commercial site inspections conducted weekly or within 24 hours of a half-inch rainfall event of an acre or greater. We had 454 residential site inspections. We had 92 verbal warnings. 52 of the 246 city outfalls were inspected. That's a requirement. We have approximately 58 miles of storm sewer mapped in the GIS. That's also a new requirement, but we're in good hands with that. We maintain good records of that. I want to stress our goal when it comes to some of these verbal warnings, inspections and everything. Our goal and approach in regards to what's illustrated on this slide is to be, number one, to be reasonable. We want to be an educational resource, and we want to be fair to all parties involved in this program. I do want to note that some contractors, residents do require a few more field consultations than others. So just if you hear about that, we try to be very reasonable implementing this program. Next slide. Apologize, this is a little bit harder to read and everything, but this is kind of on the horizon from the PCA. We haven't got too many more updates on this, but I just want to note every 5 years, our fee is $400 annually to be a part of this program, which is $80 a year. The PCA has proposed every 5 years to increase that rate from $400 to $20,000, i.e. $4,000 a year. Either way you look at this, is about a 50% increase than what we have been paying. It's very alarming. It's somewhat concerning. That's a considerable amount of money, but as noted, this is a statewide program, so it's not only Fergus Falls that they're looking to increase the rates, but all across the board. So at this time, next slide, please. At this time, this kind of concludes this brief presentation. As I mentioned, we have to be here. It's important. It's an important program. It's very educational, but it is, like I said, sometimes it can be rather exhaustive for some of the staff to administer all these requirements, but I think we do a good job. We'll open up to any questions you may have in regards to this topics. And Matt, do you like to add anything to add?
Yep, you got questions, let me know.
And that is our MS4 manager. He's the primary contact for the program. You can of course contact me, but in general, Matt would be the primary, like a noted contact for it. This is just a picture right here showing some of our public outreach. I believe this is a group of high school volunteers a year or two ago that we had. This is curb stenciling. I believe we were up at the RTC.
Basically, we're focusing on the Lake Alice.
Lake Alice.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
Lake Alice watershed. So
I remember
It's up
that.
there. It's up there. See.
Thanks, Brian. Go ahead, Justin.
So the fee, you had said it's $80 a year or $400 for every 5 years.
yes,
And they want to go to 4,000 a year.
yes.
Join the club. That's more than a 50% increase.
Well, it's very good question, Mr. Nurse.
And I'm like, that's 20,000 over a 5-year period. We're only paying 400. That's
Yeah,
more than 50%. That's a 5,000%.
I think it's important to note, and I should note it, we have a storm sewer enterprise fund. Part of the inception of that program was not only for our storm sewer system, but for a program such as this. So when people, refer to the storm sewer fund, that fund helps fund this mandate. Like I mentioned, this is a unfunded mandate, but it's funded at the local level, hence the storm sewer enterprise fund.
I think the goal of the agency is to, obviously at this point in time, the MPCA is mainly funded by obviously the general funds that get transferred, and they're looking for people that quote utilize the MPCA to pay more of their share. So I think when you look at this sheet, obviously at the moment the fees only cover like 1%, and with these proposed increases, it's going to cost, it's going to cover a third, and that's kind of what they're, and that's a general theme that they're looking at doing, is increasing application fees and ongoing licensing fees
And inspections.
Yeah.
We're subject to from them coming down, auditing us. auditing our projects. It has happened just recently. We've made corrections, we've been abiding by everything, but we're subject to those same items as well. So,
But, I would say also that it's a matter of where you pay in the cycle, right? Because I think they're trying to catch the stormwater and clean the stormwater before it gets in. For example, with the volunteers around Lake Alice, that gets into Lake Alice. We're talking about a project to clean Lake Alice of millions and millions of dollars too. So, I mean, I think that the benefit is obviously on the front end and trying to catch this stuff. So I applaud the work that you're doing. I know it's like, there's some mandates from the state that aren't always nice to comply with, but I think they're there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the water one it's actually a good one. It's the biggest problem with the agency is the bureaucracy, not the actual content of the program.
Sure. And that's,
I would agree.
It's nice when they can mandate and don't have to fund it.
Yeah, yes.
I only bring that up
For them,
because that's
yes.
been brought to my attention. So
thanks, Brian. Thanks, Matt. for
Thank
your
you.
work on this. Any other questions from the council?
I know.
Thanks. All right, item number 2 is an update on the permit fees for vendors in the parks. And we'll call on our Public Works Director, Guy Taylor. Good morning, Guy.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, council members. As was talked previously before the meeting, we've been fielding a lot of calls for food trucks and food vendors in general for just on city streets, parking lots, and then this issue specifically is for in city parks. The city code does allow for vendors to be in city parks. There's a 2-day limit to a permit. That's just an administrative permit that we issue. With that permit, there's been no fee attached to it. What I'm proposing is just a nominal $15 fee for those vendors that choose or need services such as water or electricity. The other vendors that don't need water, electricity, or sewer, if they're self-contained fully, the fee would not be charged to them. So just for those vendors that use our services. So it's a $15 fee that's being recommended that would be included on the 2021 fee schedule.
Thanks, Guy. Anyone have any questions for Guy? Scott?
I wonder if it wouldn't be something that you would just apply to any vendor, not specifically food vendors. Because there would be other vendors like T-shirts or other products that might be sold that might still want to use electricity. And I wonder if making it just a vendor permit rather than a food vendor permit might be a good idea.
Yeah, and that's what the ordinance does reference. I was speaking to food vendors or bringing that piece into it, but the ordinance is vendors in general.
Okay.
So we could accomplish this with the motion to recommend to the council to apply that $15 permit to vendors. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Caroline. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
So Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
Anthony asked about other regulations for food trucks.
Yes.
If I could just go through those. a
Please
little bit.
do, please do.
So we do have allowance in the ordinance for food trucks. There is a process, but they have to get licensed or registered at least through the county, through the Department of Health. They cannot be on Lincoln Avenue from Union to Cascade. They can't be across from schools, I believe. They have to vend from the curbside. And there's a few other regulations on noise limit for their generator.
I got the specifics right here. Just so we're saying the right stuff. It's Lincoln Avenue from Freiburg to the east and Oak to the west. So just a little bigger than that boundary. And then it's 200, not within 200 feet of any public or private school as measured from the property line of the school. And then the hours are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on public streets, and then private property between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. all days of the week. Any questions on?
So pretty straightforward, I guess, right now. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Guy. Thanks, Andrew. Item number 3 is a update on dog park. And again, we'll call on Guy Taylor.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're progressing with the creation of the first dog park in Fergus Falls. And we're to the point of choosing a name. Park Board was discussing that, and it was suggested that we check with the land records and see how the city acquired the land. And found out that the land was deeded to the city from the Adams family, who gave the Adams Park, the Grotto Park area, and which included that area across Grotto Lake on Channing Avenue. So we suggested that we check with the heirs of the Adams family, and family friend Rick Shera, he knows some of them, so he did check with them about if they would have a desire to have input on the naming of the dog park. And what they came up with was family beagle that was their pet for years, named Higgins, would be something that they would like to see the dog park named for. So that's the recommendation, is that it be named the Higgins Dog Park.
Wow. I bet that dog never thought he'd have a park named after him.
No.
All right, well, if that's the recommendation from the park board, I like the idea, and I'm glad that the Adams family was asked. They've done a lot for this community, so, and we lost Virginia this past year, and so anyway, that family's done an awful lot for this community, so.
So we're on track to get this park done, hopefully by early to mid-June, and we'll be publicizing a ribbon cutting and a grand opening for the dog park. Fencing will be going up in mid-May. Water line will be installed and all the play things for the dogs. So it'll look pretty nice, but look for a early to mid-June
That's
opening.
great. Well, thanks to the park board, thanks to your department for working on that. I know there's a lot of people and a lot of dogs that are looking forward to that addition to the community. Scott, would you like to make that?
I'd like to make that motion.
Make that motion. Thank you.
I'll second.
Thanks, Jim. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. One more item from Guy, and that's the purchase of a front end loader.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a 2006 case model 821C. So you can see it's getting up there in years. So it's got about 7,700 hours. It's seeing more increased and costly repairs that are needed to the unit. So we're proposing to trade it in with a $50,000 allowance for that older unit, and purchasing the model 821G case loader with a net price of $183,510, with that $50,000 trade-in allowance, would come from the annual equipment budget. And just to note that it would be coming purchased through the state contract program.
Thanks, Guy. Any questions? We can do this through a motion to the recommendation of the council.
I'll for that.
Thanks.
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Anthony. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thanks, Guy. Andrew, any additional items?
No, Your Honor, there's no additional items. I would just note, you all noticed that there's softballs on your desks.
Yes.
We had a fun afternoon yesterday afternoon out at D Lagoon dedicating Field 5 with the school district, and those are a token of appreciation from the softball team. So it's kind of neat that they were getting to experience that last night. Had nice weather for it, and then they went on to win both of their games on the brand new field. So congratulations to them, and thanks to the school for the partnership.
Yeah, I'll just echo that and say that it's a beautiful field. And I know that there's a lot of people at the city, park board, and the school district, and private individuals as well to make that possible. And it's something that the girls softball team, it's well deserved, and it's a beautiful field. So thanks for the partnership, Guy, and to everyone in your department. Lynn, do you have any announcements? All right, with that, it's going to be a beautiful day. So enjoy it, everyone.